Oh, the furnace is still coming on. Yay! You are live, it says. Even though I was like, wait a second, 5 more seconds. No, never mind. Hello, everyone who may be joining us live or on the replay. You have found one of the famous go lives from Sheila Williams Coaching and Danay Novoa Intuitive. So good job getting here. I'm excited. We haven't done this for a while.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done it on StreamYard for a while, but we tried on Zoom. That was fun. And then we get caught off at the beginning. So I was about to do like the whole countdown thing, but
yeah, no, that doesn't work.
We're awkward. It's normal. It's fine. I'm awkward. She's brilliant, but
no, but it's endearing to be awkward. That's what I'm counting on, the fact that it's endearing that we're awkward and we usually don't know what we're doing. So we're always trying something different. And so feel free to say hi if you are here live. If there's a way that you can do that. This should be streaming, and I know it is. I've already checked to my Facebook profile as well as to our YouTube channels. Yep. So
I've got the notifications. It's up and going, and we've got some hellos.
Fantastic. So. I love it. So yes, hello to everyone. Danay, what are we talking about today? What would these fine folks like to hear about, do you think?
Happy New Year.
I love that. You know, I saw the funniest little thing. I was going through Reels on one of those kinds of programs today, and it was this funny thing about how all of November, that's all anybody talks about, is like, I can't believe it's November. But you know what? I can't believe it's November already. And December is in 2 weeks, and that's it. And then we get to talk about how it's Christmas and the New Year. It seems to be looming.
Looming.
It feels looming.
So if you weren't here for our Power of Words kind of conversation, you should check it out. We're looming. Do you feel the energetics in that one?
I really did. Yeah, I did. And I think that that's why I wanted to talk about this today. This was my suggestion. Because I love living in the now moment. I love knowing that all of my power is now. And there's kind of this other part of me that goes, oh my gosh, the new year is looming. Have you done enough this year? Like, what are you doing next year? Make some plans, darn it. And that has been causing a little bit of push and pull in me, which I think makes for a perfect topic.
I got to ask you, though, who's setting the measuring stick? Who's telling you whether or not you've done enough?
Isn't that a great question?
Yeah, who's done it?
I'm hoping we're going to talk about that today because, I have a little voice on the shoulder that says...
Is his name Fred?
It isn't, but I've heard stories that you have a Fred who kind of likes to tell you smack from your shoulder. I think we all have that little voice, and whether we imagine it's society or our parents or, our own expectations, I don't think any of those are wrong. I think it's nice though to notice when it's happening. Does it feel good or not? And if it doesn't, you can poke around a little bit like, ooh, how come those thoughts are coming through? And I'm not saying that they're bad thoughts. It's just different than the living in the now moment thoughts.
Yeah. I just think it's hilarious. And Fred was just a name that popped up, but I use the name Fred for a variety of things. But I was thinking, if you're going to make an alliteration, it might as well be something like, and this is for you, if it resonates, it could be like Carl the Critic.
Good one. Yeah. No, that would be fun.
But I do want to say hi to the people because we have some people on. It's not just us talking to ourselves.
You gotta love that.
But we've got people. We've got sunny San Diego. So big love to sunny San Diego. It's not sunny here. But we've got some Canada, some US. We have New Zealand in the house.
Very nice. Welcome.
So super excited for New Zealand to be here. I've been wanting New Zealand, the country. This person is representative of New Zealand, the country. Yeah. So our friend New Zealand, that's what I'm going to call her. I've been waiting for her to join a live. So I'm glad it worked.
Nice.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, welcome to everyone. And yeah, feel free to say hi where you're coming from. Oh, here comes the dog. I may be doing some muting. This is going to be Danay's favorite one yet, because I'm going to keep muting myself.
Yeah, and then she may pop off screen and pop on. She's going to do a little bit of peekaboo. The dog is quite the character. So, but this, I would say that this, chaotic or turbulence-ness is not different from, the energy that people feel around this time of year. I actually don't feel that. I actually get sad when the year's coming to an end, but I don't get like, oh, did I do enough? I'm just like, really? Already? So it gives me an opportunity to reflect on, I guess, on a different way, because it, for someone like Sheila, it feels like it's like that pressure. Did you do enough? Did you do enough? And I'm like, can it not be like the holidays and all those things? Because people get busy. And I'm just like, what do I do? So it's entertaining to watch the different experiences that come. Maybe I'll take off, I'll hop a flight somewhere and take off and go somewhere hot, sunny. So maybe I'll go to New Zealand. Probably won't, but so it'll be
I hear San Diego is sunny, and maybe Arizona.
Yeah,
you got lots of choices.
I'm assuming it is. Yeah. I even assumed that Pennsylvania is good, and like, all these places that are not here. But it's not too bad. It's just gloomy. That's it. And then the sun sets, and people who actually know me from years ago would know that this is the time that I get lighter and more excited, because snow is coming. But there's something that's changed in me, which is throwing me off a little bit. It's not that I don't like snow. I just want the days longer and feel warmer to be outside and doing things. But that's an interesting thing that kind of comes up in the sense that when the year is wrapping up, people get reflective. People start to think about what their year's been like, what's happened. And, people like Sheila who are like, did I do enough? And then people like me are like, well, what now? So, because people, you can't plan things, you can't do things, because people are like, I'm busy doing this, or I'm traveling here, doing that. And I'm like, okay, I'll just have to wait until January. Yes.
I'm going to unmute myself, and you know what? I don't know what else to do. I really don't know. This is what I'm listening to. I do want to go to the comments for a few things. So yeah, sure. I love every point that you just brought up, Danay, and I want to circle back. But I love the fact that people are offering their own opinion. Kathy's saying her inner critic's voice is Sloan. I'd love to hear the story behind that, Kathy, at some point. And Julie's saying, ready, Freddie. So yeah, I love that people are resonating with this, and they have their own perspective on kind of what those voices are and who they are, or a name to give on them. So I think it's fun to notice that you do have that different perspective, and I don't disagree with you at all. As you know, I'm kind of like one foot in that camp of like, yay, what's next? But the other foot is still, I think, tied to some of those old beliefs of even the new year being a good opportunity to reflect, like not a reason to take score in a harsh way, but just even what a great chance to look back. I always laughed, in those Survivor episodes, or as you get towards the end and those last few people, they have to walk down the memory lane and remember all the people who came before and had been voted off. And I mean, I always thought that was kind of funny, but it was neat to remember, like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that person from, 6 weeks ago. And I think having that intentional time to reflect on your year, it does give you that opportunity to remember, like, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten about that very happy, joyful type of experience that I had. And I'd already kind of forgotten because I had moved on to the what was next aspect. So again,
I'm going to put you on the spot. Finish your comment. I'm going to put you on the spot.
I was just going to say, I do love the life that I'm leading now, where so much is focused on in the moment and not needing to plan ahead and not needing to look back with, big regrets or the big story of, I remember 20 years ago, or it's been 40 years since I've done this thing. I love not doing that very often. Yeah. And I also love the opportunity to, remember and to see where have I come and how it does feel good. So that was my comment.
Perfect. And with that, one of the things that's kind of poking at me right now is the idea that when we go and reflect on the year, we're reflecting on all the lack. We're reflecting on what we didn't do enough of, or that the year's coming to an end and we feel like something's missing, or whatever it may be. So my question for you, Sheila Williams, is what's your favorite memory from 2023?
That's mean. That is on the spot. 2023 was a good year for me. Okay, so not to take too much time.
Well,
that's a tough one, because mentally I just kind of went through a whole bunch of, because I traveled quite a bit this year. Yeah. I met a lot of people in person who I'd been interacting with online. I mean, I did 2 Abraham cruises.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like one favorite, but something that puts it not in lack, right? What you didn't get done, but rather what did you enjoy and what did you accomplish?
Okay, so that's actually a really easy one. When you ask the question like that, I have a group, like a membership that I started in December of last year, and I had no clue if anybody would come. And I thought, I'm starting it because I want to. And it was one of my best experiences of the whole year, because as we've come to this point, and it's coming up on 1 full year, the group isn't large, but everyone who's there is there, like, so full on. I love it. And I feel like we've created a community around it. So that's, I think, one of my best things, that I would put that check mark of, like, hell yes. This does go in that column of win, if we're going to measure, because I love that they all love each other and support each other, and that I was a catalyst to bring them together. So for me, that feels really good.
It's really good that you see it that way. And I'm going to add an addendum to what you said, in a sense of, like, your group is not large, but they are larger than life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I've heard so many freaking good things about it. And not just from you. You say how well the group's going, but the people in the group they have so many beautiful things to say about that community that you've created. And you're actually inspiring me to jump the gun and do it too. Getting a little nervous about it, but in some ways you could say I've already done it, but it's something that's crossing my mind. So stay tuned for December. That's a looming.
So now, who's saying looming now? How do you really feel about it?
So yeah, I'm going to pop this up here and saying this is somebody who has something good to say.
Yeah.
About Sheila's group, right? So not looming in the sense of like, I get nervous about it. So, like, it feels daunting. And yes, so a membership is coming. And I'm looking forward to doing that. And I get to kind of get that insight and feeling that Sheila's always talking about, that she has with her group. So I think that's a great way to wrap it up. And you have done so much in this year, traveled so many places, achieved so many things. Like, if you don't acknowledge it, because we bypass our celebrations, that's, I think, an important thing, is we bypass our celebrations. We don't notice them in the same ways that we notice the things that we missed out on. There's things that I didn't do that I wanted to do this year. But there's also things that I've done that have been huge, just like you. And we've made some great changes in our lives just in this year alone, even just in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
There's been some big changes. So I think anybody who's listening now or listening to the replay, like, stop for a second and just think, like how far you have come just in this year, because there's been a lot going on. There he is. Make himself known. He's like, I'm here. Pay attention.
Yeah. You can't just hear, you got to see.
Yeah. So focus on your accomplishments, things that you feel you've celebrated, the things you've enjoyed. Because the thing that we do when anticipating the new year is thinking, how do I want to improve 2023? But there's no improving. It's an experience. Like you don't criticize every experience you have and say, the next time it's got to be better because it was awful. You would say the next time I hope it's just as fun, if not better, right? Yeah. So acknowledging how far you've come and all the gifts that you've received and have given. So I think it's great.
So I love the fact that you invited everyone who watches this to take the time to reflect for themselves. Yeah. And it's like totally.
So it's not just Sheila Williams coaching; it's also Ollie.
Yeah.
And
Ollie. But let me finish that because excuse me, sweetie. Ollie's really big, and he's just a puppy still.
That's how well you are at attracting things your way, is that they even fall on top of you and say, I'm right here.
Falling from the sky at all times. It's all that magic pixie dust up there. It just lifts them all up and drops them down on me. Okay, so here's the thing that I think is so important. And reflecting, yes. And I do think that and I think it's great to say, don't only look at the lack, for sure. Notice what was the positive and where did you maybe have different expectations? Because that was my whole jaw going sideways.
He's just too excited.
I'm so distracted right now. No, but it's important to me because our instinct is to look at the lack or where we didn't measure up. And we are inviting people to look at a balance, the kind of the yeses and the nos, the pros and the cons, whatever it is, just to notice it. But I think what often happens is that for those things that we feel we didn't do what we wanted or we didn't measure up, I think there's such a value to asking the next question, which is why? Like, why did we set that as a goal for ourselves? Why do we view it as having not measured up? Those are, I think, the fun questions that really give you the opportunity to have insight. And that's why I think going that next step further is so valuable, because then it allows you to think, well, did I create that aim for myself, that goal, that objective, whatever it was? Was that from an aligned place? Or was that from me? Or was it from something else as well? Was it from outside influences, what other people might think, or what we think they think we should be doing? It can be a pretty crazy connect the dots scenario sometimes. And that's where I think it can be such a part of a larger discussion, for sure. That can be really valuable.
For sure. I'm going to pull up one of the questions that I think everybody talks about is how the year seems to fly by. And my perception is that it's perception. Because when we're at the beginning of the year, there's a joke that I've kind of seen online and through experience is that, January lasts forever. And then suddenly February through a set of months kind of, picks up a little bit. And then eventually by the time you get to September, October, you're like, where did the year go? But while you're in it, your perception will create how fast it feels, because, Sheila and I did a conversation or a live about time. And at that time we happened to be in the same place. So we were both talking about our experiences of how, you're spending time with somebody who has a different perception of time and how that creates an interesting experience to say, an hour's gone by. And I'm like, no, it's been 20 minutes. But it's based on perception. And it's also based on how good you feel, because somebody who doesn't feel really good, maybe they're having a rough day, that is going to last forever. But somebody who's flying high and living the good life in their perception, that day is going to fly. So I think if you're coming to this point of the year and you think, wow, that year was fast, then I would take that as a sign that you had a great year. So
can I add just a little different perspective on that? Although not disagreeing, actually. Surprise, surprise. I think so much of your perception of time, you said it's how are you feeling, but I think it goes even one step further past that of if you are focused in the now. Because for me, the now is a really big thing. And it's when you are so present with what you're doing, and that is usually related to when you're feeling really good, you're in the zone, whatever it is. I do think that time goes differently for you. Like it actually does go differently for you. So when you say it's been 20 minutes, it actually has. But when you're looking outside of yourself to the clock on the wall that wasn't a part of your experience, it tells you that an hour has gone by. And that's, I think, the fun part of it, where you can play with it. I love to stretch time often. I love to think, okay, I have 8 minutes to do an incredible number of things. And most people would say, well, there's no way you can do it. It's like, hell yes, I can do it. I'll probably have a minute to spare. And most of the time, I do. And even coming onto this live was an example. When Danay says, when should we get on? I type, okay, 1:15, but I still have to like get dressed, put on makeup, take the dog, run him around the yard and give him some things. I said maybe 20 after that. And I was 5 minutes earlier than it was 25. It wasn't 20, but still, I know when she read that, she went,
no, you know what? I did say no to the 1:15 in my head, but because I've been in the magical world of Sheila time bending, and I've seen behind the scenes, she will be like, I have 3 minutes to hop on a call. She's like, I'm going to make like a 4-course meal and then carry it over to my meeting, enjoy. And I'm sitting there going, I have half an hour. I think I'll just make some toast.
It's all what you believe. It's all what you believe. What is possible? So Julie, that was a very long answer to your brilliant question. And I do think that it feels as if time is speeding up because I think more of us are living in the present.
Yeah, exactly. And I would agree. I definitely agree with that. The more you're in the now, days, there was something I said the other day, something like the more you're in the now moment, the faster days and time fade away, or something along those lines. It was eloquent at the time. It's not right now. So
in the moment, it was perfect. So I'd love to pop up Dana's question here. Like, how can we improve upon the perfection of our soul? That's a big question.
It's a big question, but my response is you can't.
That's interesting. And my first answer that came to was just like be in the now, just be in the present, knowing that all is well right now. So even though you can't see Ollie, he is legitimately like this far away from my face, breathing on me, and yet I know this is perfect.
Well, the interesting thing is that she used the word soul, and to me, the soul is perfection.
Yeah.
So had she said, how do we prove upon our perfection of our human experience? I probably would have said you can't either. But in the sense that one of the things that I have been, intuiting more lately, but for the past few years, it's just this idea that people talk about this idea of being a work in progress and needing to improve, needing to be perfect. And the idea is that's not the case. And it's perception. Because somebody who says I'm a work in progress, and I use this a lot before, and being a work in progress, you're like, I'm here and I need to get to here. But if you kind of say that rather than it being higher or lower, it's more like even playing field, but a different experience, then, I'm over here. And then how do I get over here? Or here to here, like whatever works. But to me, perfection in creation, whether it's the soul or the stuff you do day to day, come from a place of love, have the intentions of love. And I think that improves upon the perfection of anything, really. So
yeah, there's no question that when you give yourself the chance to feel that love, to be that love, and to perceive anything around you that you don't see as perfect as, through the lens of love, it is amazing how it shifts so quickly. Much like Ollie's face kind of shifting here, but there he is. So I love that. I love your answer, Danay, because it just, so many people do think, and I'll often say, like, I'm still a work in progress, or, it's not perfect yet. And realizing that doesn't actually do me any service, because I am perfect exactly as I am. And I love knowing that I can aspire for more of whatever it is, whether it's to learn a new skill, like a language, or more empathy, or more love, or more patience. Taking care of animals has really helped my patience.
Yeah, that's a given. Children and animals, I hear, add to that. I do want to share this thing that everybody's been seeing. It's also from Dana. But that, something to play with if you've got a little kid in you, that the end of the year is going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. As long as you keep it as, 23 and not 2023, and then ruin all the fun.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
just that point. So yeah, there's wonderful comments on here. Let's just grab the next one in here. It's Julie. So, do you think it's important to, I didn't even read the question. I just saw Julie has a question. Do you think it's important to set goals for the coming year of what you'd like to accomplish, and how does that tie to living in a now moment? So before hopping on this call, Sheila and I were talking, and she said, well, is there any points you want to bring up? And I said, well, at some point we could ask the question, does anybody like to plan for the future? And Sheila doesn't. And she assumed that I do, and I do not. But I do not, because I'm not always certain about things. But if I carry a certainty about something, then I want to plan all the time, because I want to know that certainty will continue and create that energy of that consistency, which makes me feel safer and more secure and ready to handle anything, right? But in my perception, setting goals is fine if it feels good for you. One of the things that I've done in a previous year was not set a goal specifically, but set like a word of the year. Mm-hmm. So in a sense of being like the year that I did it was freedom. So I set freedom, and it was like, how do I allow myself to be more in that energy? So rather than a specific, something, then it creates this energy that just says, hey, how do I add a little more of this energy into my life? Nice. So I think those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah. And to add a little bit to that, I think to answer Julie in particular, I do think it's great to set goals for your year. And that's why I was trying to allude to earlier, and I was so distracted by Ollie, of understanding what really is important for you. So knowing that it's not because someone else thinks you should have that goal, but how does it feed into how you feel good in your life? How does it allow you to find the pieces that are giving you the happiness and the joy that you deserve just by being you? That the goodness of you is always deserving of having a beautiful, loving life. And it doesn't have to just be hard work, and die. And I think we are all becoming more open to that we're allowed to find those elements that light us up. And so tuning into what those are for you and setting those goals for yourself, and then understanding what is the measuring stick that you are going to use to say if it was successful or not. Because that's where I think we often get tripped up, is we have such an attachment to a specific outcome that if we somehow don't reach that one, we failed. And to then say, okay, well, let's rework this. Like, let's go back to the drawing board. How will I know if this is successful? For me, it's because I feel better about it. I feel good. And I can keep tuning in of just, which one of these choices feel better? How will this move me towards where I want to be, which is feeling good? And that's it. I think it can be that simple, but I might be wrong.
I don't think you're ever wrong, right? What's the saying? You're always right unless you're wrong. But then you're always right anyways, because you were right about being wrong. I don't know.
You're always wrong unless you're right. I like it. It's a nice back and forth. So
it is. Yeah. But it's about simplicity more than anything else. It's the simplicity of coming back to the now, and any sort of experience that we have. It's, how do I want to feel better in this moment? Or how do I want to feel, is the usual question. So rather than it being like this big goal, like you can set something as, because New Year's resolutions, those come into play. You can set something as, I'm just going to make 2024 the best year possible. And then there's the disagreement. Should I stop talking? I can finish off what I'm saying.
Please finish.
Not in a sense that it's going to be a bad year, but saying there are no expectations. Saying, oh my goodness. Okay, you talk now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Yet, I mean, for me as a person, what feels better for me, just about me, is that's way too unfocused for me. Like, oh, it's going to be a good year. In what way? In what categories? How will I know? By putting zero parameters and say I have zero expectations. To me, that's like the least interesting way to live life. I would rather have big dreams and again, start with, how do I want to feel always? And if I want to feel curiosity and excitement and love and happiness and joy and connection, and like I can feel and find to those words and those feelings. And then how much fun is it to daydream about how that might show up, and it not being tied to it being that way, but allowing yourself to play in the excitement and the details and the fun of it. To me, that's the good stuff. Did you just say like, anything happens this year, I'm probably okay with it? It's like, I can't do that one.
As long as it feels good, though. I think starting really general is the idea. But what I find absolutely hilarious is that you are somebody who does not want to plan for the future. Like, not at all. Like,
details. I don't want to lock in. That doesn't mean that I don't have expectations and desires and excitement about it.
Of course. It's just like you're a planner, but not.
I plan to feel good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant by like, it's going to be the best year possible. Like, people will then make an assumption that I meant like, okay, it's going to be absolute shit. And I'm just going to make it as less shitty as possible. That's not where I was going.
I've hit the PG rating on this thing. So. Well, I think that it can be fun to have specifics. And this is not a sales live, but I am running a free masterclass this week and next week, which is all about deciding what feels good for you as you're going into the new year, to use it as a tool to reflect and decide, how do I want to feel? And I think people benefit from having certain categories for like, how is there anything about my spiritual life? Is there anything about my, relationships? Is there anything about my work life? I think it's really nice to offer people a bit of a roadmap of where to point. And then within that, again, to dream and to know what they're aiming for. I think it's really good. It's like at least having a target.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's no harm in dreaming. It's just maybe this is my sort of pessimistic side coming out, is like, just don't set yourself up for like, wow, look at your face. It's
I'm waiting for you to say it out loud. Like, just don't say it. Like, don't set yourself up too high because you know it's probably not going to work out.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Okay, I'm glad.
Yeah, no, it's just more about trying to reach the general population of who listens to us, you know, all 4 of them. No, there's more than 4. Just the idea is that I never want somebody to feel like if they can't envision an amazing year, are they doing it wrong? And I don't think they are. So that's why I said best possible. And that could be like absolutely incredible. You don't know. I had no idea how this was going to go. And this year was peaks and valleys. And I wouldn't change aspects of it, but some of them I'm like, crap. Like, but I accept that, you know, not everything's going to go the way you want it to go. But I had some incredible experiences that I wouldn't change for anything. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's a tough question, but I mean, we've gone all philosophical about it. When she was like, you know, just you set goals. We do and we don't.
That's exactly right, Julie. Yes and no are the answers to your very nice question. Oh, so funny. We're getting a little off track, I think. So I'm going to pull up Kathy, who said she likes to set an intention and pick a word that expresses the essence of the intention. And then the goals are all the offshoots of that intention. And I think that's very similar to what you were talking about, Danay. Yeah. And I have also done that. So I was not saying that it was wrong in any way. I just think your follow-up to that of just like anything goes, it just felt for me that it feels too open-ended. It's like when I was in school and the teacher just said, well, write about anything, I would sit there frozen. Like, could you give me even a hint? A hint to get my brain started, and then I can take it from there. So for me, I think it's just a different way of thinking. That's all. I'm a little left brain linear, even though I'm not a planner anymore in the specifics that I used to be.
I guess it's the energy is always going to be there. So, yeah, no, there's a lot of charge to this conversation, and not just this conversation, but like in general, when people start talking about what to anticipate for the coming year, what do you want in your now?
Great point.
So what do you want right now? I mean, we're projecting ahead because people are going to do it inevitably. And I'm not so much thinking about 2024 unless I'm planning material for 2024. But even then, we did a live on decision making and flailing about when making decisions and sitting there going, I don't know, like, what if I get it wrong? You know, and that creates lovely energy in me. So setting an intention as broadly as possible, I think just helps you feel like it's more possible, I think, or more attainable is what I'm getting at. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I love that we are seeing lots of comments about people talking about, you know, being in the now and having experience with that. And I wanted to pop up even Gina, who said, I think you can improve your ability to perceive and experience the perfection of yourself. And then you'll see there's nothing to improve, just more to appreciate. And I think that touches on a lot of what we were talking about, not just because of ourselves, but even our experiences. That to know that everything as it's happening, even though we might think, yeah, I don't want that. It in that bigger picture, it is actually perfect. And usually when we get ahead a little bit in time and our own experience, we can look back and appreciate that it did happen the way it did. Yep. So that's been my own experience.
Yep, it's true. So, and it's nice to be able to appreciate, and that brings it back to the comment that rather than focusing on the lack for the year, focus on what you accomplished. You know, and I went outside my comfort zone so many times this year. Yep. And some of it's due to you. And some of it was just due to my own decision making and stuff.
Mhm.
But it's nice to be able to reflect on the changes I've made in my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Agreed.
So what other comments do we have here? Oh, and Julie's happy with our answer, even though it was, 27 minutes.
I love it.
So we've got something from Dana here. We'll show that. So question earlier about the perfection of the soul. And it's just a comment. She was inspired to ask it based on the comments of how we evaluate ourselves. And for those who are not familiar, I guess, with the transformational sort of fields for self-growth, personal development stuff, hearing like we're already perfect exactly as we are, and people are like, no, I'm not. I have this thing I don't like about myself and that thing I don't like about myself, and that's something that you're judging. That's
Mhm.
something you're evaluating about yourself in the negative.
Yeah.
There's like nothing wrong. It doesn't matter if you have a particular, for instance, I have a little more body weight than I would like, but it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. It just means that I evaluate having more body weight than I would like. And that doesn't change my value or my worth.
Yeah.
So my existence, just by being me, means I'm valuable and I'm important and I'm worthy. So I think it's important for people to realize that our judgments create this sort of grading card, but it's not necessarily an accurate grading card.
Yeah.
So,
and we can use them as jumping off points too. Like, how many times have people I won't say people, I'll say me. If I have not been happy with, say, the weight that I've been at, it has encouraged me to do something different. And whether that do something different is to love and accept myself as I am, or be more active, or eat, what I might perceive as healthier foods, or whatever it is that feels aligned for me, I think that there's value in that. And so again, to really appreciate, all right, I'm having this judgment. It's my perception. I know that I am heavier than some people, and I'm lighter than some people. So there is no right or wrong. It's all about, how do I want to feel in my own body? And I get to value that too. I think it's still a lot of people who are in kind of this world think, well, if you're judging yourself, you're wrong. And I disagree with that. I think we're allowed to have preferences, but to be softer on ourselves and not buy into, looping thoughts that may have been around for a long time, that kind of just keep going and going and going. Where if I think, oh, you know what, I wish that, my core was a bit stronger. That's an easy one that I think, I can always say is like, I do wish my core was a little stronger. But then to let that be enough of like, how would I like to strengthen my core? What could feel fun to do that? Would it be yoga or a plank challenge with a friend, or whatever? I just have better posture sitting at the computer. That's could be all that container has to
be. You have a rooster. The rooster says, you're done talking.
But the other thing though is so often it happens is it's like, okay, and then that thought, and then that thought, like, oh, and you've always been overweight, and oh, you've always done this, and it just starts going to the weirdest things that if you look at where it ends, it's like playing a game of telephone. Where it ends up is nothing with, gee, I think my core could be a little stronger. It goes up to like, you've never been good enough, and you've always been too much of that. Like that's where some people's, read me, the self-talk used to go, right? And so just to learn, we can just have it be a little container of like, ooh, I do have a preference. Okay, let me do something that feels good about that, as opposed to.
Well, Ollie's got a lot to say, and I agree with he makes valid points. And some of them he was very passionate about. We do this thing. It's spiraling, it's rumination, it's one thought leads to the next thought to the next thought. And the idea that somebody wants to be healthier or stronger or smarter, have a better memory, or whatever it may be, any one of these things. And you sit there and go, why? Why is it important that I have that? Is it fulfilling something that makes me feel more valuable? Is it saying that I'm better if I have these things? Well, you're great just as you are right now. But if you want to be, if you just want to do it because you want to feel good or you want to show your body some additional love or whatever it may be, it's the intentionality of what's propelling us, what's driving us to make the changes in our life. And if you're changing for somebody else, or if you're changing because you don't deem yourself good enough, then it's not something that is going to be easy to change, because you're going to be resistant to the change. But if you're, you wake up one morning, and so I'll use myself as an example, and it's not true, but it was true for a chunk of time, that, I'll wake up today and I'll be like, I'm not going to eat any chips because I love chips, but at the same time, they don't fulfill me in the ways that they used to. I used to use them a lot for comfort. And now when I'm trying to comfort, I'm like, they don't do what they're doing. So then I get crusty because I'm like, you're not doing your job. Chips, you're not doing your job. But, there was a chunk of time where I wasn't eating them and I was happy. And I had bought bags of chips, but I didn't even touch them and I had to give them away. And that wasn't me trying not to eat them. That was me just being in the now moment and loving life and saying, everything's fantastic. I don't even want them. So you're going to make these changes naturally the more you go to love yourself.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go let my puppy out. So
Right.
I think this is a great place for us to end. That was brilliant. So thank you for that, Danay.
Thank you.
And yeah, I dropped the link in the YouTube. I don't know if anybody sees the comments or not, but if anyone is interested,
let me show it real quick so they see
sure.
that.
Sure.
It looks like I dropped it too, but I did not.
It's on your YouTube channel, so yeah. It's a free class. It's on Tuesday, and we're going to explore this topic a little bit with more specific tips, though, like actual practical tips.
Yeah.
How to tune into what feels good for you in your upcoming year.
Yeah, and we'll put these stuff in the comments of the videos so that you can check things out if you're interested in checking things out. Sheila and I have 2 additional calls coming up in addition to what she's doing. So lots available, lots of free calls and lots of opportunities to explore things. So I think, why not wrap up the year with a lot of fun and excitement and being in the now? So Ollie, does he have any final words for us?
Ollie's actually super calm right now, but I think there's some people that keep walking by the front. So we're going to go throw the ball in the back, and I'm going to take him for a walk anyway. So he is just going to have loved this energy, and yeah, he's good.
Right. So thank you so much for those who hopped on and love the energy and the questions. Really appreciate you all. And I'm glad that we had a special guest who decided to play.
It was a lot of fun. Awesome.
All right. Awesome.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.